Hey everybody, welcome to my first video here. So I'm going to do some very basic stuff, and I'm going to show you how to first open up Adobe Illustrator and how to do some very preliminary things. Like I'll talk to you about some of the main tools we're going to be using, and I'll show you how to start constructing shapes and things like that. So this will be kind of like our first lesson in the beginner portion of this program. All right, so here's what you do. You go down to your start menu, you click on it. That's this down here in the bottom left corner. You click on that, and then when you do, you should see Adobe Illustrator sitting right here. All you have to do is just go find it. It's Adobe Illustrator, it's the orange one. Click on it, and it's gonna take a minute to load, particularly if this is the first time you've ever loaded it. And when you do, or when it does come up, you'll see there's a bunch of different options. It's gonna look similar to any sort of software you've ever used to do art on your computer, maybe like even Microsoft Paint back in the day. But you'll see it's going to be much more advanced than that, and we can do a lot of cool stuff with it. This is the currently updated version of the program. Okay, so this is the way the program opens whenever you first open it up. Okay, so you'll see that there's a little option here that says create new, and for this class we're going to always just do this. It'll also show you some of your once you start creating artwork, you'll see a lot of the work that you've done down here. Like this is some of the stuff that I've been working on. But for your sake, all you're going to need to do is just click create new. And then for this first part, due to the fact that we're not really starting a project yet, we're just going to be playing around in it. You don't have to title it or anything. You can just make sure that you click where it says print right here. Any of these print ones, we want 8.5 by 11, which is this one right here. Go ahead and hit print, or excuse me, click create after you've selected the size, and voila, you will see it'll open up your digital workspace here. Just give it 1 second. There you go. Okay, so in this case, this is what it's going to look like. This white paper here represents the canvas on which you can create artwork. The space out to the side is almost like imagine like your desktop in a virtual setting, right? So this is like supposed to symbolize a piece of paper sitting on a desktop. Okay, so this is how we started out. You'll see on the left side, there's tons and tons of different tools over here, and they all have different meanings. And then across the top, there's this bar here. This bar here helps us change colors of the shapes that we're going to create. And for a lot of you, you might not be seeing this right now because you just turned your program on for the first time. So notice where my mouse is up here in the top corner, where it says Essentials Classic. I want you to click on the little drop down. Yours probably just says Essentials. What I want you to do is go down to where it says Essentials Classic. Now, the reason I do this is because they just converted this standard workspace from this layout that you see right here. Just happened about, I don't know, a year ago or so. So we will be doing more in the Essentials, which is the version that's more modern. But for now, I want to show you Essentials Classic just because I think it's a better way to learn some of the basics of the tool. Okay, so if you are an expert at this program and you're just trying to check it in, you can jump back up to Essentials and you can try to learn the new version. But I think Essentials Classic is a really great way to start. Okay, so like I was saying a moment ago, you've got a bunch of different tools over here. You'll notice if you hover your mouse over the tool, see that, and just don't click anything, it'll show you what it's called. So like the pen tool, or the type tool, or the direct selection tool, etc. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just start by playing around with one simple tool. All right, we're going to learn how to do basic shapes. So what you have to do with your mouse is go ahead and just click on this one that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down on the left side. It's called your rectangle tool. Just go ahead and click on it, bring your mouse out to the workspace, and click and drag open a shape like that. You just click, drag, and then release. And once you've done that, you'll see that it's got this sort of blue selection bounding box around it. That means that that item is currently selected, meaning that we can do all kinds of different things to it. So if you come back up here with your mouse up in the top left here, you will see that there are 2 boxes. One of them is like a white square. See that? And one of them is almost like a black picture frame. Okay, so the white square represents something called the fill color. The fill color is the color of this shape. So if we click on that and change it, you can click on like yellow, for instance, or blue, or pink, or whatever. You can change the color of the shape. Okay, voila, very cool. Now, if you go to your stroke color, that's the stroke is like the picture frame, that's what the outline is called. You can change the color of that as well. So you can just pick any random color like so. And you won't be able to really see the change happening at the moment, just because the outline is so small. If you go right next to it, you'll see the word stroke here, and you can see this thing that says 1 PT. If you go up on it, that will allow you to increase the width of the stroke. So you can do that, and you can see how big see the color change. So even while this is selected, you can click on it, you can change colors, blah, 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 any kind of combination you want. Okay, so we've got ourselves a rectangle here, and now you got to get in the habit of this, okay? Right now we're selected on the rectangle tool. Excuse me. If you continue making rectangles, meaning if you continue clicking and dragging like so, it'll just build more and more rectangles on top of each other, which is fine. Perhaps that's what you're trying to do. Everything that you build in Illustrator is going to be right on top of the previous thing that you built. And we'll get more into that a little bit later when we talk about sending things forward and backwards. Okay, but everything you build is right on top of the other thing. So what happens if we want to go and, let's say, click on this particular rectangle and change something about it? Well, here's the habit you have to get into. A lot of beginners have trouble with this. It's that you have to go back to this arrow right up here, this black arrow. It's called your selection tool. You've got to get in the habit of clicking on your selection tool, because this is not like a touchpad that you guys might be used to where it's all intuitive and you can just touch and click things. With this black arrow is essentially becomes your finger, right? So you can point to something by clicking on it. All right, boom. Once it's selected, now you can move that item around. You have to get into the habit of going back up to this black arrow so that you can select individual things. So once you have something selected like this, you can go up and then I can come and change the color. And what do you think will happen? Yes, it'll only change the item that is selected. I want everybody to try to do this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Then while your black arrow is selected, you can move things around. Check this out. With your black arrow, do a number of things. You can click on any of these little anchor points, like the corner ones, and you can resize it like so. You can resize any shape that you have selected. You can put your arrow on the corner and you can move it outward like so. And you see what happens when I move it out just so gently, the icon changes, and that will allow me to now click and drag, and I can rotate the item like this. Okay, so these are all just tools, basic tools that can allow you to be creative and do whatever you want. So what else you can do, and what I'm going to have you all do here, I want you, now that you've gotten the hang of this, making rectangles, I want you to just click on each item and hit backspace or on your keyboard, delete if you'd like. And by doing that, you can get rid of it. So voila, we are all blank now. All right, we can start over again with a different shape. Now let's say we want to do something with circles, okay, or ellipses. What you can do there is you can come over here, click and hold on this rectangle icon, and what you'll see is a bunch of other basic shapes available to you. So with an ellipse, what you can do is this. You can click on it, see how it's this oval right there? And ellipse is just another word for oval. That's how you make circles and ovals. If you click and drag it, you can make an oval shape like that. You can, obviously still change colors and things because this item is selected. Another cool thing that you can do is this. When you click and drag it out, so when you click and drag open your ovals, it's the same exact thing as the rectangle, right? But let's say we want to make a perfect circle. The way to do that is if you hold shift, you can, while you're clicking and dragging, if you hold shift, it'll keep it locked in as a perfect circle. See that? So perfect circles are really useful for doing graphic design. So this is another kind of basic thing. This is how you make perfect circles. Notice how they all stack on top of each other. With my selection tool, if I want to, I can go back and I can click multiple things. Look how I click and drag with my selection tool. Whatever I get in this little net here will be selected. See, I only pick those 4. And then those things I can treat as a single unit while they're selected like that. I can move them around. I can change the colors of them like this. Voila. Okay. So with that black arrow is key. You've got to get used to that. You want to click on the item. Once it's clicked, you can select it. You can resize it. You can stretch it out, do whatever like that. Okay. So holding shift is how you get a perfect circle. So in order to get a perfect square, you might be asking yourself, or you probably have already figured this out. If you click and hold on that shape tool, you can see all these little hidden ones. You go back to your rectangle tool and you can hold shift while you're making your rectangle, and look at that, the perfect Voila. So by doing that, you can make anything out of circles and squares and ovals, things like that. So I'm going to give you some time to play around with making items with circles and squares, and I will have a new video up in just a moment. Thanks for joining on this very, very beginner basic. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you.